Well, hello there, and welcome to the jCraft World Tour. This world is about a year and 2 months old. It was originally a single-player world for just myself, and then about 9 months in, on episode 42, we added AstaZora. So it is now currently a 2-player server, but we've done a lot of work in the last year and 2 months. There is some really big stuff, some really cool stuff I want to show you. So stick along, and let's take a world tour of the jCraft server. We're going to see a lot of different things, and this is going to be a pretty long video, so in the interest of keeping everything at least somewhat brief, I cannot possibly go into every single detail about every single build. Instead, I'm going to list any episode number references that I might have, and if there's a tutorial, I will list the tutorial name. And if you're interested in any more details on any of these things, just Google jCraft plus the episode number or jCraft plus the tutorial name, and that should help you find that information. We're starting out on my floating island. This is my base. We're actually up in the sky at y equals 166. I really love the aesthetic here. We've got a very modern vibe with lots of nature around it. Most of the buildings here are pretty modern with a couple of exceptions. There's the smeltery back here. It's a very strange shaped building. I had a lot of trouble coming up with a modern style building for it. So my reasoning was that in downtowns you might sometimes get older style buildings, and it made sense for a smeltery to be made out of brick. That is my furnace array. We'll show you that in a second. And then there's the wizard tower, which is the newest addition, and that's just pure whimsy. I just wanted a wizard tower, so I put a wizard tower on my island. The rest of these are some fairly modern buildings. The largest building here on the island, right over here, this is my storage building. This is a gigantic building. And there is a lot going on here. We've got all the redstone you can see down here. These are sorting systems. If we come down here, you can see the actual storage system itself. Now, I built most of this in episode 47, and I built the exterior of the building, all this cyan stuff up top, including an aquarium. It's got a bunch of tropical fish in it. And I built this part in episode 52, and then recently in episode 65, I did some upgrades to the system. I hid a set of staircases that was right there, and then I added this multi-item sorting system, as well as a few other things. That was in episode 65. So over here, we've got our bulk items. These are the items I have an awful lot of, and so I've got a whole bunch of shulker boxes up top. So tons of cobblestone, because we have a cobblestone generator. And then down below, I have a shulker box dispenser. And if I take all the items out of that shulker box, then it will crack that shulker box and automatically dispense another one from the shulker boxes up below, above. So I can grab shulker boxes, and I can also grab the individual items. So we've got all our stone and ground items and stuff like that, various nether items that I have a lot of. And then I have a tree farm right over there, so I end up with quite a bit of logs. So there's a sorting system for those. And then all my regular items end up in this flat wall storage system. I do have a tutorial for this flat wall storage system. It's just called flat wall storage, and I'm going to be making tutorials for the rest of these at some point in the future, so I will put links in the description for those. So if you're watching in the future, if you're watching right now, those links won't be there because I haven't made those tutorials yet. But if you're watching at some point in the future, then you can check the description and see if those tutorials are available now. But yeah, so I'm going to do tutorials for all of those. But if you check out episode 47, it has a world download, and you can actually see the individual components. They're all broken apart, and I talk quite a bit of detail about how all these sorting systems work in episode 47 as well. So if you're interested in the sorting systems, I love storage myself. If you're interested in that kind of stuff, then definitely check out episode 47 and that world download. So these are for the regular items. There are 3 sorters per slice, and the items get sorted into the bottom part. Mostly I've got shulker boxes, but for a few of them I don't need shulker boxes, so they're just barrels. But the barrel up above is where I can put shulker boxes of items themselves. So gunpowder I have a whole lot of, so all the shulker boxes are up there. And it might seem like this is a bulk item, but I actually brought the items in shulker boxes from a farm, so they were already in shulker boxes. So it's just as easy to just manually put them into the barrel right there, and that system works pretty well for me. And we've got, like redstone and stuff like that. I've got quite a bit of that as well. So that's pretty convenient. And then over here, we've got the color wall. I love this little color wall. This is my concrete, glass, and wool. And I just think that wall looks really cool. And then we've got some unused storage, and then items that sort that stack to 16 don't really work in the system quite so well, so there needs to be a separate sorter for those, and that's what this is. And I can use it for regular items as well, but I'm not even using all of this storage just yet, but I'm sure I will eventually. I just keep growing and growing. And then we have the multi-item sorter, which I have added recently, and this sorts all kinds of random items. Anything that's not in this stuff gets sorted into one of these categories right here, and this system is new and it works really well. I'm really happy with it. So that's most of the storage system. I add items. I can just come here and add items to this chest. I can add regular items or shulker boxes full of items, so it will sort between them, figure out which is which, and then the shulker boxes will get all the items will get taken out of them and sorted through the system. Very useful when I come back with a bunch of shulker boxes from a project. I just shove everything in the system and let the system take care of it all. So very convenient. We've got an armor dispenser that I was never able to quite get working, so that's just sitting there. And then over here we've got our overflow, are these gray boxes, so anything that didn't get sorted, I need to go through that a little bit and figure all that out. And then we've got our non-stackable items, so pickaxes and tools and stuff like that, and water buckets. There's just a whole bunch of non-stackable sorting there. And then I've got a dispenser. There's no button on this one. There's a dispenser for totems. I don't use totems very much. And then there's a dispenser for elytra as well, and that one is actually a dispenser, so if it should be a pressure plate. That should be a button. This should be a pressure plate, so if I stand on it, it will spit an elytra on me. I might need to fix that. And then if we come down here, we got a little button, and like I said, there's a hidden staircase, and we can go downstairs and we can make any changes, fix anything that's going wrong or anything like that. So we've got all the items come through this hopper chain. This is a shulker box sorter, so it tries to put the items into a shulker box, and if it can't, then it is a shulker box, and that goes down into this shulker box unloader here. And then both of the items get joined back together, so the regular items go here, then the items from the shulker boxes go there, and they go into this item batcher system, which I'm stuck in. There we go. Not a very glamorous system. It just stacks items into 20 so that the hoppers don't get overloaded. It's not a very glamorous system, but it's definitely essential for my sorting system. So yeah, that's everything pretty much with my storage system, which is kind of a lot. Oh, and I did forget this section right here. This is my items dispenser. It's called the survival item dispenser. There is a tutorial for it, as well as in episode 16 is when I built this. So this allows me to press a button and get a stack of rockets, or press a button. I use this a lot for rockets. I actually just had to replace all the rockets because I drain this thing very, very quickly of rockets. I use it fairly often for carrots, and then I don't use the other two very much, but this will spit out 32 potions, which will repair an elytra. We got a little bit of damage, might as well get repaired up. Let's switch to my pickaxe so that gets repaired as well. There we go. And then pair up that, and pair up that. That's nice and convenient. I don't use it very often, and then I don't use ender pearls very often, but that would spit out 16 of those. So very cool system. And then as we leave the storage building, over here on my right, we've got I call it the manufactory. It's my blast building. So I started this is actually phase 3 of this building. So it started in episode 7, when it was just a tree farm. It was Nembaum's tree farm. And then in episode 34 and 35, I upgraded it to be like a universal blast building with a mushroom farm, a cobblestone generator, concrete, and tree. And then in episode 52, I upgraded the tree farm because Mango's tree farm wasn't working very well for me. So if we come on in here, over on the right, we've got the concrete maker. So I added this some point fairly recently. It's the same system that I've got over here for my storage building. So I've got dispensers for sand and gravel. So let's go ahead and we can grab a half a stack of each of those. And then when these get emptied, it dispenses out more from above. And then I've got my dyes over here, so we can grab a thing of dye and we can craft that up. And then let's put the dye back, and then I would put the items. Normally, I would come over here, I'd empty my items into this chest right here, and then I would put the items that I would fill up my inventory with concrete powder and then put the items in here. I need some in my inventory so I can actually place them, and then I just come over here and I just place the items. and they get turned into concrete, and you'll see it spitting more items out so that I don't have to worry about it. I would actually fill my inventory once I'm ready to do this so that I would pick up the items all the time. So I'll just go ahead and do that later. And then back behind me, we've got my tree farm. So this is Fallen Breasts. It's a dustless tree farm. This thing is amazingly fast. So it's the fastest at jungle logs. So if we come over here, place a log, basically the log just disappears immediately. This thing is just incredibly fast. It's very, very cool. And the green switch is for oak. So it puts down a little section right here. This will prevent it from growing the large oak farms, and the oak trees. And then over here, this one is for acacia. And so that's a very cool farm. And the items themselves, there's blast chambers for all of this. The items get blown up and sent into this shulker box system. This is called the accessible shulker box loader. I have a tutorial for this. I use this all the time. Very, very useful because you can actually open the shulker box and see what's in it, because if they're not coming in super fast, I like to be able to see what's going on. So you can see I've done some cobblestone. There's a cobblestone generator back there. I actually use this for bookcases. You can crack bookcases in my concrete maker. You just place the bookcases and they get sent in the same stream and get blown up. And then we've got the items, the filled shulker boxes. We've actually got quite a lot of jungle logs down below. Those get sent there. And it's actually the tree farm itself. The rest of these will be handled by one shulker box loader, but the tree farm needs 2 shulker box loaders sometimes. So we've got some extra over here. And then back here, we've got the cobblestone generator. So that's just a switch. It's a pretty slow cobblestone generator. It worked fine for me for a while, but I needed something faster, and so I have replaced this. So I don't really use it very much anymore. And then to the right, we've got the mushroom farm. Now this is not currently working, and there's a reason for that. It was actually very recently. I had an issue with my tree farm where the mine carts that powered the dupers, the TNT dupers, let's see if we can actually get up here. So the mine carts up there, they just vanished. And so the whole thing broke, and it ended up causing problems with this right here. This is like a 0-tick pusher that pushes the blocks up. And so with this broken, if I put a mushroom in there, that would break the whole system. It's a huge mess. So I need to fix that, but I made a shulker box of brown mushrooms, and I haven't really had a cause to make much more of it than that. So that I don't use very much, but I'm definitely glad I was able to use it. I just don't use it very much anymore. And then back here, I've actually got a crafting system that allows me to craft bone blocks into bone meal. And so, like, if I place bone blocks in here, dispense them out, and then, because I bring bone blocks from my skeleton farm, my wither skeleton farm, and then I would come over here and load them into the tree farm itself. So this is a pretty cool system. I like this blast building quite a lot. Oh yeah, and the new tree farm actually has its own blast chambers right there, and then the old tree farm and the rest of these things, they used to all be connected to one blast chamber, and now it's just... So we can come down here. So here's the item stream. So you can see the concrete that I made. Also, if I did mushrooms, they would come through this this block stream here. And then we come over here, and then it gets joined with the cobblestone, and then it used to get joined with the trees as well. And then if we come over here, you can see Ilmango's blast chamber down here. And so this is a very efficient blast chamber. It's actually still operating on TNT instead of a TNT duper. The tree farm isn't super TNT efficient, so I didn't bother making it. I just use a TNT duper rather than trying to power it with TNT. It shoots out a TNT basically every tree. It's not efficient at all. But with a TNT duper, it's fine. So yeah, that's the blast building right there. And then just to the right of the blast building, we've got my smeltery. This is a 128 furnace array that I built in episode 19. I did it by reverse engineering Ilmango's 1,000 some odd furnace array. So you can see here's 128 furnaces. There's rail system and the whole shulker box. It's all shulker based, so it unloads from shulker boxes and then it loads into shulker boxes. And this system will smelt down 2 shulker boxes of items in about 6 minutes. So it's pretty darn quick. It's I use it for glass mostly, but I use it for some other things as well. Mostly just glass. But if we come on around, this is all the underside that we're looking at. And then we come up here, Here's where we actually come in. So I put the items in here. There is a tutorial for this, by the way. So just look up 128 furnace array, and then you'll find that. So this is where I put the items that I want to get smelted, and this is where they would come out. This is where I put shulker boxes into this system. It actually recycles the shulker boxes from the other system back down, but sometimes you need to add a few more. And then the fuel gets placed into here, and then the empty shulker boxes from the fuel come into this chest over here. And you can see I've gone through quite a bit of fuel. I use this quite a bit. And then over here we've got my cactus farm. I don't actually know what episode I built this in. It's not a big deal. It's Il Mango's cactus farm. It's just a little tower of it. It actually needs to be modified for 1.16 because it's going really slow. I drained it very recently to make a bunch of lime dye, and it's been days that I've been on my island, and it's barely made a row. So it's a pretty slow cactus farm. And also we've got some llamas over here. The funny story on this one actually is that I was watching one of my own episodes and I saw a couple of llamas. I don't even remember when or where, but I saw the llamas, and so I flew over to where I was in that episode and I grabbed them and I brought them back to the island, and I don't know what I'm gonna do with them. They're just sitting there, and we've got a cat there. As we come back into the center of the island, the red building right here that I sometimes call the school, that is my villager trading hall. This is the first building that I built on this island when it was barely even an island. I built this on episode 5, and then in episode 11, I built the second floor. The first design for this was awful, by the way. And then I redesigned it, and now we've got this, which pales in comparison to basically every other building on this island. It's just the oldest one, and you know, I've come a long way since I built it. I definitely need a redesign on this building at some point, or honestly, the villagers are probably the laggiest part of this whole island, and maybe I should just move them off the island and put them somewhere else. But yeah, so we've got a whole bunch of librarians over here. We've got a breeding and setting up their trades section over here. And then if we come on upstairs, we've got some sections where we've got dedicated breeding. So this is a bunch of librarians I was using to get emeralds using the bookcase to books trade. And we got a bunch of clerics, which I was using for experience. Not so much anymore now that the trades are limited, but back in 1.14, you could trade in a limited number of times per day. And then I've used these guys to get quartz, sweet quartz from these guys. And then AstaZora actually set up a few of the toolsmiths that he was trading with. So that's the villager trading hall. Like I said, definitely in need of a building upgrade. It's a very bland building. And then right next to it, we've got my nether wart farm. I was actually using this fairly recently, so it's a little bit complicated to use, but yeah, we'll go ahead and do it. So you just stand here. Oh, I don't actually have any nether wart on me. That was a mistake. Let me get some nether wart. So you put nether wart in your offhand, and then you got to position yourself just right, and then you will actually break and place more netherite as you go. It's a very cool system. I was AFKing it fairly recently. I'll just let it go. It'll stop when it reaches the end. And we'll replant these guys right here. But I like this system quite a bit. I got a couple shulker boxes of nether wart from AFKing it. And we've got another one of those survival item dispensers. This one's been exposed. I kind of liked how it looked with everything showing outside of it. That's kind of cool. We got a couple of shulker boxes down there. And then this building right here is my brewery. And I added this in my last episode, which was episode 66. And we actually did the original brewery. I'm actually not sure what episode I made that in. And in episode 66, my last episode, I upgraded it. And now it's a shulker box loading system. So it will continue brewing for as long as it's got shulker boxes in the system. So I made a ton of potions of invisibility. I got just a ton of potions. Very convenient because I can come here, grab what I need, and if I need more, if I grab a whole bunch, I can just place more shulker boxes in the system and it will just automatically brew them. So that's a pretty cool system. And then just a couple more buildings left on the island. So this one straight ahead of me with the smokestacks that we built in episode 62 is my cobblestone generator. Like I said, the cobblestone generator I had over there was pretty slow. This thing produces 120,000 cobblestone per hour. It requires 4 4x Shulker box loaders, and it spits all the items. We actually got a decent amount there, so if I just turn it on, we can actually see it working. And it's got a TNT duper and cobblestone generators, and it just, very cool system. One of Omego's designs. Again, I built this in episode 62. So let's go ahead and turn that off. And then over here in my last episode, episode 66, I built the wizard tower. This is my house on the island. This is where I put my bed. And it's basically nothing more than just a place to put a bed. It's got an ender chest and a few other things like that. And I can actually fly into this section through a hole. There's a cave on the side of the island that I'll show you in a bit. So this has got a nice little room. This is my little house room. And then we got a balcony up here with nothing really on it. And then upstairs we have our wizard library, which is just a bunch of bookcases and decorations and stuff like that. There's no real reason to come up to this room, but it's kind of a cool room. I like it quite a bit. So yeah, this is, like I said, this is just whimsy. There's no real reason for a wizard tower on this modern island, but I love it. I love it so much. It's such a fun wizard tower. And we actually spent quite a while doing all the decorations and adding a bunch of flair to the island here. And then we got one last building I put in quotation marks. And this used to be my sugarcane farm, and now I call it the ice rink. I left this here, so the sugarcane farm was on top of this, and I tore all that down, but honestly, like when you're setting up buildings on this floating island, it's easier to not have to worry about like the ground being already there, because like you might have hills or whatever that you already set up and now you need to like flatten them and redo them for the island. It's easier when you've got a blank slate. You put the building in there and then you build the ground around it. So instead of digging all this up and then leaving it blank with just a hole in the ground, I just left it here, and I call it the ice rink because it just looks like an ice rink. It's just kind of, so I need to figure out a building to put here at some point in the future, but until then I don't mind having this here. It's kind of fun. I can't believe I forgot this, but this is a new thing. AstaZora, a couple days ago, he's got a turtle farm, and he brought 4 turtles to reside in my pond here, and he named them as well. Donatello, Raphael, Michelangelo, Leonardo. I've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on my island. Alright, and we can fly on down and we can take a look at the floating island itself. So you can see we are up in the air. And there's quite a lot going on here. Get a much better view if we come in from the other side. I actually need to clear all this out. I'm not going to use this anymore. Found a new way to set up my floating island. I used to place scaffolding on top of all that. So this is the side that is done. So that's what it's approximately going to look like. And if we come over here, I did quite a bit of this side recently. So this side we're working on, and I need to spend more time on it. This takes a long time. The side that is done, just the 1/4 that's done, took me at least 40 hours, probably a great deal longer than that. Just 40 hours of building time just to do that. So it takes quite a bit of time to do that. And this side we're working on. I think I found a faster way to do it, so that'll help quite a bit. I like to get this done, and then so you can see we've got this cave here, and that is where we can come on up to the wizard tower. And then I can, if it's nighttime, I can go to bed right away. Very convenient, because spawn's actually not far over. We'll go see that in a second. But yeah, that's the floating island, and then these sides over here are not at all done. So long way to go, but I think it's very cool floating island, and I'm really excited, hopefully, for the next world tour, which I plan on doing one every year, and I definitely plan on sticking to this world for at least another year, probably longer than that. I want to have this island done by then. And then here we have my old slime farm. This is a single chunk slime farm that I set back, I think it was like episode 5 or 6 or something like that. This is now defunct. I could probably remove the AFK spot. This is where I would AFK at it, but I want to leave that. I like this design. It's just a little slime place. No reason to get rid of that and cover it over with water or anything like that. So let's go take a look at spawn. I'm only about 400 blocks from spawn. Like I said, I set up the floating island in like episode 4 or 5, so I did not travel far before setting up my first base, my first real base. If you come back here, you can see the original base back in episode 1 and 2. That's what this is right here. So we've got this portal right here is probably the oldest structure on the whole world. This was set up in episode 1 and hasn't been moved. It has been resized, however, and there's also a pit right here because I was dealing with some villagers. But other than that, this portal has been unmoved since episode 1. And then this farm was set up in episode 1 as well, and I just never bothered to remove it. I have jumped on some of the crops, however. And then over here, this used to be a little valley. I actually covered it up for looks, but if you come down here, you can actually see this is where my first mine was. So there's some stairs going down that way. We've got some nonsense that doesn't work anymore down here, so I won't dwell on that too much. But yeah, that's where my original mine was set up. And then we've got my house that I set up in episode 2. I still really like how this house looks, and I think it turned out really well. And it used to have my storage in it, just a bunch of chests, no real storage system, but you know, it had a brewery. And is there any? Nope, no items left behind really. We had an enchanting table back when I used to use those things. Used to be a bunch of chests. I always said I'd put some furniture in here. Maybe I should come back and do that at some point. And then there was a bed upstairs, and I believe I've actually removed the bed to use them for other things. And then I used to fly out of this window quite a bit, so I removed the window itself. And there are some poppies here, and an ender chest. That's just an ender chest. So yeah, that's my house, and we've got a couple of horses out front. I actually used these horses on an adventure at one point in time. And over here we've got the iron farm. The iron farm I built in episode 3. This is Nembomb's iron farm. It is no longer working. The villagers have actually gotten out, and it's not working properly anymore. We're going to tear it down at some point in the future and rebuild a working farm somewhere else because we don't really need it to be spawn anymore. But we're not in a hurry because this thing is loaded completely with iron. Apparently the poppy filter wasn't working quite right. But yeah, there's plenty of iron. I don't think we've taken really any of this whatsoever. So no real hurry to deal with that. I probably will tear this down for looks at some point in the future. But yeah, I built 2 modules of this in episode 3. And then in episode 29, when I was working on my nether perimeter, I ended up adding the other 3 modules. And there's water pouring down from it now, so that's fun too. Definitely should tear that down at some point in the future. And then we've got the obsidian bank here. This is a building that we built in episode 50. We use withers to break the end platform over and over and again. And we sent the items. There's actually a little spot right here at spawn where you can see there's a water stream, and the items would actually come right there and then move along, the items being obsidian. And then we wanted a big storage system in order to store lots and lots of obsidian. We actually had 2 million at one point, and I've left this door open and I shouldn't have done that. We'll close that and then we'll reopen it again in a second. There we go. And yeah, so now it's actually been changed to shulker box storages because we've got a ton of shulker boxes. We're actually using carpet mod to make shulkers respawnable, so we have a ton of them. So this whole wall used to be chest full of obsidian into this wall right here, and now we've reduced that to just 1 row filled with shulker boxes. And you can see the lights. We're actually down a little lower. We're probably at 1.8 million. And we've got about 2 million cobblestone right now because I got that cobblestone generator. So we're now using this as a collective item storage place for the whole server. So anytime we want items that we have a whole lot of, anybody can come and take whatever they want out of here. Same shulker box dispenser design, so you can grab single items from down below or shulker boxes up above. And this one is actually shulker shells itself because we got the shulker farm. There's a whole bunch of shulker shells in these and shulker shells down there. And then we recently added the slime farm, so that one's over here. We got a bunch of slime blocks here. And we're going to continue to upgrade this as we get more and more items. I really like how this building looks in general. Oh, and we've got the vault down below. So that's what this was. This is my hidden staircase. There is a tutorial for the hidden staircase. It's the same one I used in my storage room. It's just called 2 wide hidden staircase. We can hit the button to close it from below. And down here, this is just some pretty standard stuff. I think I built this in episode 52. And that's I actually haven't reset the combination, but this is my vault. And over here, I need to add the door back to it. over here is AstaZora's vault, and we can kind of see into it. I don't actually know his combination for it. And the door is here so it can come down and maintain anything if anything's not working properly or anything like that. I actually have a modification of this. I want to drop the floor down quite a bit and have like a set of stairs with a little look over so it can add more items, because I've already got, that's a lot of diamond blocks there. And my netherite's looking kind of pathetic here. I used to have 5, but now I used to have 6, but now I'm down to 4, and that's a little sad. And we can press the button from the inside, and that'll open the door. And I should probably reset the combination at some point, but I mean, AstaZora is not going to break in. And also, all of this iron here was supposed to be lapis, and it would have looked a lot better. I still need to get the lapis to finish that up. So at some point in the future, doing that and then upgrading my vault should be a nice, fun thing to do. Come on up, and let's close off the vault. And I leave redstone torches over here so that we have them on hand. That's a nice sneaky way to hide the access to that. And then if I fly over right, the edge is spawn, so we got to continue on this way. So the spawn chunks go all the way down to right over here. This is the spawn chunk border right here, and this is where we have our mob switch, and it is currently on. So all of these zombie villagers are in the spawn chunks. They're keeping the mob cap full so that I don't have any mobs that are spawning while we're doing all this touring and everything like that. And that makes everything nice and convenient. But we can turn it off if we wanted to. If we wanted to use a farm or something like that, which I might actually end up turning it off so we can see a few farms working. But we just flick the switch and they all get moved outside of the spawn chunks. And then mobs can spawn normally. So very convenient system. I built that in episode 54 and 55 if you're interested in that system. And actually, you'd think having a bunch of zombie villagers would be fairly easy, but the sheer number of them actually made it quite difficult. And we've also got the cake up here, which is just a little decorative item that I added in episode 58, which was the 1-year anniversary episode. So this cake celebrates our 1-year anniversary, and I'm hoping to add some more layers and more candles to this cake in the years to come. So I'm actually going to show the ugly side of the nether first. We got a much prettier side of the nether. The nether roof has a nice nether hub and everything like that, but the lower side of the nether has not been improved much since the beginning of the world. So this is the first portal I ever came through, and it was here on this cliff over here overlooking, and obviously I didn't have all this stone, but that was added fairly shortly after. Not much has been improved here, and we don't actually use this very much. There's only a few farms that are only accessible through the lower part of the nether, but we can actually come out here. We can take a look at the nether fortress that I found in the first episode. So this is the nether fortress that I used for quite a while. It's been buttoned up because I was hunting for withers here on this platform over here. Ooh, I don't know what that was. oh, I found a wither, and I went the wrong direction. A wither skeleton. Let's get out of here before we die. There we go. And there is a blaze farm right over here that's part of the nether fortress. This should still be working. I have not used it in a very long time. So there might be some redstone changes in 1.16 with the crusher that kills the blazes, but we won't worry about it too much. It should still be working. And I haven't needed it for a long time. I got fuel via coal and plenty of blaze rods. And then we come on over here. We're headed back towards the spawn section. So over here we've got my old witch farm. That's a single witch hut. And then my guardian farm. Both of those are accessible through the top of the nether now. And there is a portal right over there. That is the gravelly hills biome that I used to grab gravel from. It's been pretty much drained completely of gravel. So, that guy wants to kill me. There we go. There's pretty much no gravel on that hills biome whatsoever anymore. So there's nothing really interesting to look at. This is the portal back to my floating island. Again, we can reach that through the top of the nether as well. And normally I just fly there anyways. This is the items that come through from the slime farm over by my floating island. We can come down in here and we can see the actual killing chamber. Although again, this is defunct, but magma cubes and a rail system to collect all the items. and it's got an item elevator that brings the items up here. So all I had to do was come back through the portal and grab the items from these chests over here. And then there's the portal to spawn is right over there. This used to be some stairs that led up to the nether roof. And then over here, actually the best way to access it is over from this side. It's kind of the back door that lets me mess with it if I need to change anything with the portals or anything like that. But this is my squid ink farm. So here's the portal side. The squids come through, they land on these hoppers here, and they just kind of suffocate and die. Let's go check out the overworld side. Not too much to the overworld side. This would be the AFK spot right here, and then there's just a bunch of portals with water that pushes the squids into the portals. This has actually got better with 1.16. It's actually a faster squid farm now that they take up a different kind of mob cap, and you can actually see that we are not very far from spawn at all. It's actually pretty close. I still do use this from time to time. I go through quite a bit of black ink. And we can actually see the squid just from that short amount of time. There's a ton of squid that are dying down there. So I set up this farm in episode 14 and it's still working pretty well. Might want to upgrade the storage at some point in time. But again, I do use that quite a bit. And if we head on right, one of the other farms that's only accessible from underground is the wool farm, which is right through this portal right over here. This sheep farm here was set up in episode 10, and it's also still working pretty well. I still use it from time to time, although I haven't not AFK'd this probably since episode 10. I AFK'd it for a long while when I first built it. It generated about 3 double chests or so, 4 double chests of most of these wools, and I haven't really been back to AFK it, although I do come and grab the wool from time to time, especially gray wool. I've been pulling quite a bit of, so I might have to, still got quite a bit of that, but at some point I might have to AFK to get some more gray wool or replace some of the sheep with gray sheep to get more gray wool. But other than that, farm works pretty well. If I head right out of this portal, it's about 200 blocks to reach the desert. That used to be the way to get to the desert. Again, that is now accessible through the upper side of the nether, so no reason to explore that right now. But the last farm that's only available through the lower side is my flower farm, and that is through this portal over here. This flower farm here was set up in episode 19. I just flick the switch and that activates it. It bone meals a bunch of grass and it just generates a bunch of flowers, although I already have tons of flowers for most of these different type of flowers. I don't really use the dyes. I mostly just use the flowers for decorating my base. The one I do use for dyes is one I actually probably need to set up a different farm for in order to generate more, because I do use the cornflower for dye. But for the rest of these, I mostly just use the flowers for decoration. There is a tutorial for that flower farm if you're interested. Just search for flower farm. So with only a few farms that are still only accessible, by the way, if we head right this way, this is the route that goes to the old end portal. Again, accessible through the top of the nether. So it's not much area that we'd have to cover. I should probably set up a building of some sort or another in order to get to these various few farms. Make this a little bit prettier, because this is not very glamorous down here. But let's head on over back to my base, and we can go to the portal over here. This leads to the lower part of my base, and then there's a water elevator on the other side that'll take me up to the top, and there's a portal up there that'll take us to the prettier side of the nether. So here we are right underneath my base, water elevator right here. Head on up. There are tubes that allow me to drop down if I want to go down there from time to time. So I would just, it's all on the other side. These are actually just water drop-offs here. So let's go check out the Nether Hub. I started this Nether Hub in episode 21 and I finished it in episode 35. It was a pretty big project. It took me quite a few sessions of doing this to get it all done. You can see we ended up with a very beautiful representation of the nearby world around us. And so this portal right here, we got a little representation of the floating island that clearly needs to be updated, because at the time I apparently only really had 3 buildings on the island, and 4 buildings. That has changed quite a bit. We've got some new buildings here, we've got some buildings here, and I might have to update this. So I'm good. Oh, that was my old sugarcane farm. That's no longer there anymore, so that also needs to be changed. And then over here we've got a portal that goes to the spawn. Oh, there's a little representation of the slime farm here as well. And so this is the spawn portal. Now there's no way back up to the top. If I go through this portal, the only portal back will take me back to the bottom of the Nether, so, but it's a useful way to get there if we need to. And the same thing's going on here. This is where the wool farm is. There's a little tiny representation of the wool farm, and so that's where that portal is. And then we come over here, you see lots and lots of islands, and this is where we've got our guardian farm over here, a little representation of the guardian farm. And then let's head on through. My original guardian farm was created in episode 8 after I finished clearing out all the water in the ocean monument down below. And then in episode 20 I upgraded it to a nether portal version, and I have a tutorial of that version on my YouTube page if you're interested in it. And the modified version creates somewhere around a double chest of sea lanterns per hour, so it's pretty darn quick. I'm really happy with it. And we got this nice crafting system that allows me to craft down the items so they're so it can like combine these two items, craft them, and then place them in the shulker boxes on the other side. It's a very convenient system for me. It lets me craft up those sea lanterns very quickly, and I really like that system. That's actually part of the world download of the tutorial. And then over here in the distance, we can see the drown farm that I created in episode 61. This thing looks really weird on the map if you take a look at it. And so if we come over here, it's actually got its own nether portal on the nether side, but it's just a river biome that's been converted into a drown farm. And yeah, it's a pretty slow drown farm, but it does work, and you don't need that much from resources from a drown farm. Back on the nether side, right down here, you can actually see the portal that goes to the drown farm. And I should probably make some little representation of the drown farm on the map. It's pretty big, so it actually does show up on the map. So I should probably do that at some point in time. And then right here, we have the scariest point on the whole server. And I'm dreading going into this, but I got to show you guys this. This is my wither rose farm. There is an active wither in there, and going through portals tends to let him break free for a small amount. So when we go through this portal, I need to go down as quickly as possible and hit a button to make sure that he stays where he's supposed to be. So let's jump on down, and there's still a good chance I might actually mess something up. So we can actually hear him working. It looks like it's this button, I believe. I haven't been here in a while. And that moves these guys around. So, ooh, ow, that hurt. And then his other head should switch around. Is he doing the right thing? I don't think he's doing the right thing. I think I might have broken it, and I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. Alright. I think I just broke this farm. Alright, let's just go on in and get my items, and then I was looking for an excuse to make another wither rose farm at some point in the future, and I've got a few shulker boxes of wither roses anyways, so I'm just going to count this as a loss. I kind of half expected this to happen. It's possible that one of the villagers is gone. We'll go ahead and press this button anyways, but it's possible one of the villagers is missing or something like that, and that's why that's not working properly. So yeah, nothing really can be done about it right now, but maybe it's working now. It looks like it's actually kind of working now. Are we good? Oh, okay. I didn't break it, but I did die. Okay, so we got a villager over here that distracts him, and he gets moved out of place so that it focuses the other two heads on this villager over on this side. So I can actually walk right next to this wither, and he's not shooting at me, and there's a villager on this side, and then there's a spawner up above that, oh, I'm glad this isn't broken, but I did take some damage for that one. And then we can come up here, and you can actually see the spawner here. Here's the spawner, and then those guys get sent down, and they get shot by the wither roses, and then the wither roses come into this system right here, and I can place a shulker box there. I should probably replace that with a shulker box loader, but like I said, I'm looking for an excuse to make an Enderman base one that's a little bit faster anyways. But yeah, scariest part on the server. Don't go into that portal haphazardly, that's for sure. And just up north from that portal, we've got the portal to my old witch farm. This is the last portal that's actually on this map right here. And this witch farm is actually defunct. We've now got a double witch farm, but I set up this witch farm in episode 8, and I actually can't find the episode in which I upgraded it because I actually built the wrong version of the witch farm first, and I had to upgrade it, and I also upgraded the storage a bit. And these shulker boxes have been cleaned. I'm not sure if there's really... Oh, there's a bunch of bottles there. That's pretty cool. I've got tons of those. We'll leave those behind. But yeah, this is my old witch farm. Now, one of the bigger items on our to-do list is that we really need some nether roadways, because a lot of the portals that aren't on this map, Some of them, the earlier ones that we set up and the closest ones, have these arrows that lead towards them, but a lot of them don't, and we have to use coordinates to find them, and it's pretty easy to get lost. This one, however, does have these arrows. It still needs a roadway going towards it. We come this way quite a lot. This is the portal to the desert. This is one of the first portals I set up that wasn't actually on the map here. So that portal actually leads up to the top of the mob farm, so I could actually come here and AFK the mob farm if I wanted to, straight from that portal. However, the mob switch is on right now, so there are no mobs spawning, but we can fly on down. There's also a water drop, but I like flying. I usually fly up to the top too, even though there's a water elevator. And we can see there's all the spawning platforms. We got magma blocks down here to kill anything that lives, that has feather falling boots or whatever like that. And then there's water that comes splashing down to move all the items into the sorting system down here. Now, we set up this farm in episode 3, and this is the oldest, still working, still useful farm on the whole server. This thing still works, and it's still pretty decent. Now, I do now use my wither skeleton farm for bones, and then gunpowder. I have my witch farm, which is slower. This thing produces about 3 shulker boxes of gunpowder per hour, so it's pretty fast. It's actually pretty decent, but I end up AFKing in my witch farm for so long because I need a lot of redstone that I end up generating a lot of gunpowder as kind of a side result. So I've been bringing that back to my base. If I needed some fast, I'd still come here, but I get plenty of gunpowder from the witch farm, and then we're actually going to come up with another farm that's going to be a little bit faster, quite a bit faster, so that will probably defunct this as a gunpowder farm. And the only thing it's still useful for then is string, which I'm apparently almost out of here. I have not AFK'd this thing for months and months and months. It's been a long time, and so I don't use string very fast, but I have depleted it of all its string. So that's the only thing it's still technically useful for. We can still use it for gunpowder, but it does still work, and it's still technically useful. So this desert itself, this is the desert I've been mining, and you can clearly see it. There is quite a lot of damage if we keep on going. I have done a lot of damage to this desert. There's still quite a bit of sand left, obviously, but I've done quite a lot of mining. I've even gone all the way down to the end here. Yeah, I have done a lot of sand mining. I have pulled about 500,000 sand out of this desert here, all the way down here. There's still sand that I have done a lot of digging. Now, if we head on right past this mob farm here and we head to the south, we get to a pretty interesting area. I've always meant to set up its own portal for it, but I just never have. I always just take that portal and then fly down to it, and it seems to work pretty well. So this is 4 farms stacked on top of each other. It started in episode 22 when I made this ice farm, and the ice farm is 6 chunks by 6 chunks in order to get a decent amount of production while still staying within the random tick area. And then in episode 32, I put a vine farm using the same basic concept, so it moves you around in water, and you just stand here and harvest the vines while you're going. And I built that, and I just put it right underneath it, made it the same size. It's fairly useful. And then in episode 36, I needed a melon and pumpkin farm, so I placed that down on the ground here, and that uses flying machines to harvest the melons and pumpkins. And then in episode 43, I added a really large sugarcane and bamboo farm, and that's right here. This one also uses flying machines to harvest the things. And then at some point in the future, I'd like to upgrade the storage because the melon and pumpkin farm still uses just chests, and we've got basically infinite shulker boxes at this point. So I'd like to upgrade that to some sort of shulker box based system, and then maybe a crafting system for the watermelons. There's also a pumpkin carving station right here that I actually had to use a bunch of jack-o'-lanterns to light up the sugarcane farm to make sure everything grew properly, and also there were no mobs and everything like that. So that's pretty cool. And this is a pretty cool system, and it's actually, you can like cross AFK a little bit. So if you needed ice, you could run one of these two. You can't run both of the flying machines at the same time because it would cause quite a lot of lag, but you could run one of the two while using either of the 2 farms up top as well, and that's pretty useful. And if we fly slightly southeast from here, we've got an area that I used to do a whole bunch of manual digging for stone and dirt and stuff like that, and since then I haven't really needed much recently, so I haven't been doing that, but instead I set up a tunnel bore down below because it already kind of destroyed the area up here. It's kind of already a mess, so I might as well destroy the area down below as well. And so we've got a tunnel bore. Fortunately, the mob switch is off because otherwise this would be just absolute mobs all over the place. So I've used the tunnel bore to clear out all this area right here already. This is actually further than I thought. I have gone a long way with this. This is mostly for mining diamonds, but I've also used it for lapis and to a smaller degree redstone. So here's the actual tunnel bore itself. I set this up in episode 57, so fairly recently, in order to get a lot of diamonds, which I don't really need, but it's more of just kind of like to say that I did. So we can actually run this real quick. So if we hit it, it will fire off some TNT, lob it over at the wall, and then you go and you check through the area. Usually I would use night vision potions in order to do this because there's lava here right now, but it can get pretty darn dark. And also having fire resistant potions just in case is definitely pretty useful. But then I would come through and mine anything that I wanted, and then I would fire it off again. You can do that from both sides, and it's a pretty nice system. One of the portals that's not very well marked is out here behind me, and I have to use the coordinates to make sure we find it properly. It should be at something like X60Y1000, so a few hundred blocks on this way. It's my second favorite area on the server. My first should be fairly obvious. It's not that portal, it's actually the one right after it. There it is. Alright, so if we come on in here, this is where my wither skeleton farm is. Now, it's in the nether, obviously, but it's below us, so we've got to come through the overworld, and then there's a water drop off here, and then a water elevator to get back up, and then some lag there. This isn't just one of my favorite spots on the server because it rains withers, and it's very satisfying to sit here and whack them, but it's also the fact that it's fairly uncommon to see a full nether perimeter. I actually used a world eater to get rid of all the blocks in the surrounding area, so we don't have to worry about any mobs that are spawning anywhere near the farm itself. And it took quite a while to do this. This was done in episodes 27 through 29, and it was a big project. And then in episode 30, I actually set up the wither farm itself. And then in episode 55, I had to do a redstone fix for 1.16, and I also upgraded the storage because it was not able to handle full Fortune 3. It was normally, you would just use the dogs and you could actually just AFK it, but I actually set it up so that it's full Fortune 3, and that allowed me to get a lot more bones that way. This is now my primary source of bone meal. It's also a really good source of coal, so we've got a decent amount of coal here, and it looks like I left some coal, and then it's also a good source of bones. And wow, I left a lot of bones. This generates a lot of bones. And also, tons and tons of wither skeleton skulls. I've actually already gotten a shulker box of beacons, so these are kind of just not really necessary, but I like collecting them anyways. Lots of fun. Might make another shulker box of beacons at some point in the future. And man, it's just super satisfying to I could just do this all day. It's so much fun. Yeah, we definitely need some nether roads to get set up because we got little more than an arrow pointing us back, telling us which side is the direction that leads back to the Nether Hub. But let's actually go off this way a little bit. We're going to go out to 500, 500, and that's where some of the new stuff that I set up for 1.16 is. That's where I set up a netherite mining machine. And once again, it's little more than a portal with a sea lantern arrow pointing back to the Nether Hub. I think I've motivated myself at this point. That's something I need to work on at the very near future. And once again, this is another one of the drop-offs. So we go back into the bottom side of the nether. Oh, this actually might be dangerous because we do not have the nether switch on right now. The nether mob switch. So yeah, there's spawns that can spawn all over this place. So this is where I did basically the same thing as the diamond mining machine, except I did it for netherite. I actually came a long way. This actually worked pretty well, but sometimes you hit huge pockets of lava and it requires quite a lot of patience. So same basic concept. I did this in episode 48, And this is my main way that I've gotten netherite up until this point. I'd like to find better methods, but Mojang actually did a really good job of making sure that it's pretty hard to get. So this works fairly well. But like I said, it can really try your patience when you run into lots of lava. And then sometimes you can go for 500 blocks and not get very much lava at all. And then you're very, very fortunate. But when you do see lava like this, you actually do need to plug it, because it will stop the TNT from actually blowing up the blocks behind it. So we can't just leave that there and then fire off the machine and be fine. You've actually got to deal with the lava. And I've got way too many items on in my inventory to be yeah, let's not mess with this. I've showed you that it works, and it's a cool machine, and I'll probably have to come back here fairly soon and get myself some more netherite. But yeah, there's a Ghast. Oh shoot, I hope he didn't hit that machine. Let's just hope that didn't happen. Definitely need the nether mob switch on when you're using this machine. If I go straight in the direction of this arrow, I'm actually going to run straight into my Piglin bartering hall, which is at 350, so that's this right here. And so we've got some piglins that are up here. I've actually got a platform that I used to spawn them, and I never actually tore that down. I can tear that down now because I've got the piglins I need. This is an 8 piglin system, and all the gold is in the chest up above. And it's a system that spits out the gold to them. They do all their trading, and the items go through a sorting system down here. And then we've got a bunch of storage down here. And I actually got so many items out here that I've got chests full of blackstone. We actually used a bunch of the gravel, so I took a bunch of gravel with me to do our slime farm. And there's a bunch of nether brick, and there, yeah, this creates quite a lot of items. It's a very nice system. And the one thing I really need from it now is the nether quartz, and I've used all of that. I've got a few shulker boxes back at my base, but I could definitely use more nether quartz, so I might have to come back here some point fairly soon. And then once again, we've got an arrow going back to the Nether Hub so you don't get lost. Oh, the Piglin bartering hall, by the way, was set up in episode 49. Now, I've made my way back to the Nether Hub, and if we go out this way, we will run directly into the gas farm, which is right just a few hundred blocks over on this floor here. So this is just a platform with a bunch of wither roses and a bunch of lights so the piglins don't spawn in it, and it's got some mine carts underneath to collect all the items and an AFK spot way up in the air. And it's really fun because you can actually hear them screaming. It's pretty satisfying. I don't know if I can actually hear it from up here anymore. I've usually got my volume set way low. Now, can't seem to hear it, but as we come down, we can probably hear it. Oh, it's a horrifying noise. Over 1,000 blocks past that gas farm, we got the portal that leads to the witch hut. And this one doesn't even get an arrow that points us back to the Nether Hub. So maybe I'll fix that while I'm here. But if we go through this portal, we've got our witch farm. And unfortunately, I used a random seed for this world. So the best I was able to find was 2 witch huts. So it's a double witch farm. I was not able to find any triple or quadruple witch huts, unfortunately. But it's still a pretty cool farm. We got a couple of witch farms, and then the items all get sent over to the center. And this is the AFK spot right here with the roof over our head. That prevents everything, the phantoms, from getting at us. And then we got our accessible shulker box loader for all of the items that come through. Some of the items I don't bother keeping any more of. I got 4 shulker boxes of spider eyes. Who could ever need more than that? I actually do keep the sticks and the bottles. They're pretty useful. Sugar, not so useful. Like I said, I do use this for my gunpowder. I actually took all the gunpowder back. But the primary thing we want from this farm is the sweet, sweet redstone. And it does not produce nearly enough of it. So we're looking at other farms in order to supplement our redstone needs, because you'd be surprised how much redstone I can go through. I keep forgetting to mention the episode numbers. The gas farm was from episode 37, and then the witch farm was from episode 41, although I needed to set up the perimeter for that, and that was in episodes 39 and 40. It took quite a bit of effort to get that done. And AstaZora's first project when he started working on the server was he helped me out with the witch farm, so that was kind of cool. And so that's all there is on the west side of the Nether Hub. Most of the items are actually on the south side of the Nether Hub, which we've already seen. And then the north side only has 1 item, with the exception of AstaZora's base, which is slightly northwest of here. We'll go see that in a second. But if we head on north, first of all, there's this giant tower here. Kind of hard to miss. That was set up in episode 44 in order to move shulkers. to help supplement the Nether mob switch, which is the only item that's up north of here. It's about 500 blocks, not too far. Whole bunch of arrows leading out to it, and I actually need to tear down these rails and the tower. We're done moving those. When I set it up, I thought I was going to do more, but we never end up actually doing more. So in episodes 25 and 26, I set up this side right here, this wall of shulkers that is, so these guys fill up the mob cap, and then we have a chunk loader here that keeps everything loaded. And this is unfortunately not working anymore. In 1.16.2, something's weird with this chunk loader, and it's just the items get stuck on it and it's not working anymore. I need to replace it. So this actually isn't working right now because the chunk loader is an important part of keeping all these mobs loaded so that they keep the mob cap full so that we don't see any mobs. So this was set up for one player. This was done so that I could do the nether perimeter because I didn't want to deal with Ghast while setting up a world eater in the nether. That would have been very bad. And then in episode 44, I set up a second one because we had added AstaZora, and I wanted to set up some more shulkers in order to support 2 players. And so we never actually finished that. That's why that building is still there, is because we were going to finish it. But in 1.16, they added the option to use zombie villagers instead, which is a lot easier than dealing with the shulkers. So we're not going to be dealing with the shulkers anymore. We've already got the mob cap builds for 2 players with all of these zombie villagers right here. So this system's working really well when the chunk loader works. I almost forgot the massive structure that looms overhead all the time, and that is the zombie Pigmen XP farm. It's our primary source of getting experience for enchanting and whatnot. And I set this up in episode 33. Not too much to say about it. You do actually have to turn it on and make sure to turn it off when you leave the area. But yeah, standard zombie pigmen aggro. They get crushed down below. They actually do fall damage. They die down there, and then the items get sorted down there, and the XP gets sent up a tube straight up to me. I use this thing quite a bit. Alright, so over here on this corner of the Nether Hub, we got this fancy arrow of regular torches, and that leads out to AstaZora's base. So come on out here, and his portal is right here. He's not too far away from the whole Nether Hub and all that. He's got some ideas of what he wants to do for his own section of the Nether Hub. And then he's got this nice building here. It's a really nice building. I actually made him make this building because his base was not mob safe, and I was trying to leave, and I couldn't. I could not leave. So he made this building so that you could actually use the portal. So this is AstaZora's base, and what do you know? There he is right there. And what do you know? He's actually in a Discord call with me. What are the odds of that? How you doing, Asta?
I'm doing pretty good.
So what do we got going on here?
I wanted to make a simple yet kind of complicated storage system, but I didn't want to start sorting stuff out kind of yet. Your base has pretty much the whole works when it comes to it, but I'm nowhere near the design phase, so I just throw all my stuff into shulker boxes and throw them into minecarts.
All right, so this is just a work in progress that you're working on?
Well, the idea is that once it's done, I can drain all the boxes into a sorting system.
I gotcha.
Not have to worry about that. There's like 3.5 million storage slots in this thing, so...
Ooh, that's a lot of storage.
For the size, it's not bad.
Yeah. Got anything else you want to show me around your base? You got your house over here.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a joint operation with us.
Yeah.
I was really good at building interiors, as we can tell from the obsidian bank, but I can't do roofs. They are my bane. I'm in the process of actually getting rid of all the storage in here, so while things are a mess, we do have one of the biggest maps on the server. I think I win that title.
Oh yeah, definitely. I do not have very many maps at all.
So there's not really much left in this house, as I'm demolishing it probably pretty quick afterwards. On the far side of the island, or well, not an island, I guess I don't have an island. I'm used to saying that.
Yeah.
I've got 2 nether designation buildings. I don't know really what to call these, but I have crimson and warped fungus plantations. And then I've got a ward farm and a basalt generator over there.
Very cool. So this you bone meal the ground here, and it makes all the various little fungusy things that these guys make?
Yeah, I think yeah, right here. There's a row in each one of these, right there. So right there.
Oh,
So,
nice. Very nice.
got plenty. Doesn't take long. I think 4 stacks of bone meal, so half a stack of bone blocks will do that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty efficient. I've got a lot that I still want to do around here, but I've spent a lot of time with bigger projects we've done, so I haven't really spent a whole lot of time.
Yeah, we've
I
been
guess
working
I'm
on.
a hypocrite.
Why is that? Oh, because you give me a hard time about not working on my base, and then.
Yeah, and then I don't do anything towards mine.
Yeah.
But
Little
yours
bit.
does look cool, so.
Yeah, and you don't care much for putting buildings around your builds here.
Not yet. I'm getting there.
Yeah, it takes
I
time.
put a lot of stuff up in the first or second episode. I had most of this stuff done.
So this is the
So
basalt generator here that I'm.
Yeah, it's actually a really bad design, but it met my needs for now.
Yeah. Yeah, you were saying the other day you regretted that you made it manual, that it was kind of a pain.
Yeah, I regret it completely because, I mean, well, I can start it for you here. So it's pretty fast.
Am I supposed to be down here?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
So you just stand right here above the signs and you just go back and forth.
I gotcha.
It's super simple.
But,
Super simple, but
you needed a lot of it, and it just wasn't fast enough.
I'm planning to use about 5 shulker boxes right now for my nether project, and if I redesign it, I'm pretty sure that there's going to be more than just 5 boxes needed.
It's still really satisfying to do.
Yeah, it is. It's very satisfying. Thank you.
Over here is your netherwort farm?
Yes, this is actually a really good farm for what I do. Actually, it's about half. No, actually, I think it is grown. So whenever I'm out here actually harvesting the trees and everything, this is actually loaded. Otherwise, it's not, so it's out of range.
Yeah.
But it's just simple lever flicking. Then there's
it's just a manual replant kind of do, but there's a lot of actual plants that go on there. That's pretty cool. How much does it get per harvest?
3 stacks of work blocks, I think. So I can actually go in there. The reason I've got it set up that way is so I can actually fortune it, so I can get a lot more out of that. But I can't flush it if I'm feeling lazy.
I gotcha.
I've got plans for a bigger one, a way bigger one. So once I get something more solid, I'll use that.
So this is one of the coolest and newest things right here, huh?
Yeah. Actually, if you sit in the minecart, you can feed the turtles.
You got any seagrass?
Don't worry, just go left and right. Have an open hand.
Okay.
And move the cart a little bit.
Oh, I got it, actually.
Just wait for it. It'll work.
Oh, there's some seagrass. There we go.
Actually renews the seagrass, so it's pretty.
All of them want to go towards the water, and then they'll go and they'll lay their eggs, and then when the babies hatch, they go down. They'll fall down into a pit below, right?
Yep.
And then when they grow up, they get suffocated, and then you get the what's that? Seagrass and the scoop from when them growing up in the first place. Yep, they're laying some turtle eggs. That's very cool. Yeah, this is a neat.
And then if I want to.
This is a neat system.
If I want the turtle eggs, though, I've got a little system here to prevent other mobs from actually pathing into it.
Do you actually net seagrass from this?
Yes, because it takes 2 seagrass to make them lay eggs, and then when a turtle dies, even if it's 1 egg, the turtles grow up and die. They drop 2 each. So if I get a nest of 4, I get 8 seagrass back from using 2.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So, upwards of 400%.
I got a mess of phantoms on me. I think some of them are for you.
I do have to give credit where credit's due, and that is Techman88's farm. So
yeah,
it's actually it is so efficient that if I were to build it any larger during the hatching section of the baby turtle eggs, it would actually lag the server up.
Oh really? Due
to so many updates, because there's like 600 spots in here, and up to 2,400 turtles could hatch at any time. So yeah, it can fill up real quick. It takes about 2 hours though for them to hatch, so it's a AFK overnight kind of deal.
Yeah.
Not really.
Oh, you haven't, by the way, you haven't shown off your super high-tech furnace array here. How does this work right here?
It's typically meant for low load smelting, so double chest is probably too much. But you would throw your items into this hopper minecart. Your fuel would be put in the back of this, and boom.
And then you just hit the switch.
Yep.
That is some fancy high-tech redstone right there.
I think it's fucking.
I'm sorry. No, it's definitely very cool. I just
it's just meant to be simple. That's the idea behind it. Is it have a whole lot of resources, and I don't think I really spent much time actually prepping. It doesn't.
I don't even have a furnace array for small batches. I just have my mega one. I actually need to replace the one that I have for small batches. So giving you a hard time doesn't make much sense, but it's fun. So I have not yet shown off the gold farm, because I mean that was kind of your project. You wanna go show off the gold farm as well?
Oh, yeah. I'm not passing that opportunity up.
All right, let's go check out the gold farm. So this right here is our gold farm. It is about 1,000 blocks south of our Nether Hub, and it's just basically it's a bunch of portals, and the zombie pigments will spawn in the portals, and they'll get immediately teleported to the overworld. How you doing, Asta?
Good.
All right. So do you mind AFKing this while I go over to the other side and show everybody all these spawns that are coming through?
Yeah.
So this thing gets what, 100,000 gold nuggets per hour?
Yeah, just about.
Yeah, it's just raining zombie pigmen, you can see. This thing is a very, very fast farm. We got a crafting station down here. So when they fall, we got wither roses to get rid of the magma creams, and then all the items come through into the sorting system over here. And then we got a crafting system here, so we can craft the gold nuggets into gold blocks and take them home with us. And yeah, this is a pretty darn cool farm. So AstaZora, how much obsidian did all those nether portals, how much did that take?
80,000.
80,000. And how long?
Yes.
You did most of the work on these nether portals. How long did that take you?
I think I spent about 3 12-hour shifts on this thing.
Wow. This thing is, yeah. It was a very grindy, even the part that I did, it was a very grindy process. It took a long time to do all this. So I covered a bit of this in episode 44, and then we had to do some fixes for 1.16.2, and I did those in episode 46. And AstaZora has an episode where he actually covers it in more depth. That's your episode 7?
Yes.
All right, I'll actually put a card up for that for right now and a link in the description as well. But this is a very, very fast, very fun gold farm. Just one more thing in the nether before we head out to the end, and that is the slime farm. And this thing is about 6,000 blocks northeast of the Nether Hub. It's going to be a long flight. Over a stack of rockets later, I'm out here at 4,600, negative 2,200. So it's a long way out, and that's because we specifically found this area that had 33 slime chunks in a single perimeter. And so if we come over here, we can see this is our mega slime farm. This thing produces about 500,000 slime balls per hour. It's very, very fast. And while I'm here, I might as well, we actually need to cart all these shulker boxes full of slime blocks back to my base. So I might as well grab some of those. I should have cleared out my ender chest for this, but oh well, here we are. So yeah, this is a big project. We built it in an ocean, which never make a perimeter out of an ocean. This took just way more work than it should have, and way more work than it would have if we just done it on regular ground, even if there was a partial ocean or something like that. So I started this in episode 58, and then finished it in episode 61, 62, and 63. That's just for the perimeter. This was a big project. And then in 64, I actually made the slime farm itself, and it wasn't until 65 that I actually finished it. So been working on this for quite some time. There's actually a fish farm up here as well that basically just gives me tropical fish and puffer fish. It's kind of useful. I set it up while I was working on this project because it was a very grindy project. If we come over to the nether, we can see the nether side of it. And then over here on the nether side, we can see the portal where all those slimes come through, that single portal over there. If we come on up here, we can see that they are killed on top of magma blocks, and then some slime block and honey blocks pushers push the items into slots on the end. And then there is this, oh, we can actually see items going through from the last time it ran. That's kind of funny. So yeah, these get pushed in this conveyor belt here across a whole bunch of sorters. There are 16 4x sorters here in order to deal with the 500,000 items per hour. So this is a ludicrously overbuilt farm. We would have been fine with 8 slime chunks, probably even less than that. But I felt like building a really, really crazy one. This is a lot of fun. It's very cool. There's no doubt about that. One last thing I forgot, and that's because there's actually no formal way to get here. And there's just this ladder down from the bottom of the nether. And then just below the roof of the nether, there's this tunnel here, which is not at all super obvious. Down at the end of the tunnel, there is a turn right. And we got to keep on going. I could probably crack a hole in the nether roof in order to make this easier to get to. Lord knows I had to break a lot of bedrock in order to build this machine, but I've only been here twice, so it's never been a big deal. This is the wither killing machine that I made in episode 32, and this is how I got a shulker box of beacons, because just having all those wither skeleton skulls isn't really enough. It takes a really long time to kill that many withers. I actually killed like 100 of them manually, and it's pretty grindy. This thing does all the hard work for you. You just stand over there at this end, flick that switch there, and that'll activate this piston over and over again. And you just stand here and place soul sand up against that trapdoor right there. And then back here, there's some hoppers that you place the wither skeleton skulls in. They get fed into some dispensers over there, and they get dispensed out onto the soul sand, and it creates the shape for the wither skeleton skull. They get pushed up into the bedrock, which is why it is where it is, and they're just trapped there, and they start to suffocate. And then once you get up to like 24 of them, they start entity cramming, and it starts killing them really fast at that point. This thing kills like 4,500 withers per hour. I've never gotten that many out of it. I think I did 1,200 at once, and that was pretty fun. This thing is a very cool machine, and I think it was definitely worth the weird trip out here. And finally, there's only one thing that's the east of our Nether Hub, and that is the end portal. So we've got some nice set of lights that lead us out there, and this portal used to be a regular sized portal, but I recently set up some ghast and I was pulling them through into the end, and I needed a larger portal for that, and it hasn't been resized down. So this leads us to the overworld side, which is an absolute mess. There is a lot going on here. I had the ghast that I had to keep from going into the portal. I had to break the portal frame. We had a dragon egg duper here at some point, and also we were spitting items into the portal in order to regenerate the end platform on the other side so that withers would break it, and most of that hasn't been properly cleaned up yet. I've got some ideas of when I want to do this, and hopefully I should get that done fairly soon. Let's head on over to the end. I set up this ring around the end portals in episode 56. I started it, and I finished it just recently in episode 66. It took quite a lot of quartz to make this, so it took quite a bit of quartz gathering. You can see it's got some lights that go around the ring and give it kind of this moving. I wanted to give it like a spacey sci-fi kind of feel, and I think I succeeded at that. I think it looks pretty cool, and it gives us beacon effects through the whole thing, and it also kind of highlights the rail cannon up here, which is from episode 38, by far, leaps and bounds ahead, my most popular episode, for good reason. I love this. This right here is my favorite spot in the whole server, is the cockpit of this thing right here, and we will get to firing it. No world tour is complete without firing this thing, but let's talk about the rest of the end first. So we've got an Enderman farm over here, and this was set up in episode 23. It's still pretty useful for quick repairs and stuff like that. We don't need ender pearls or anything like that anymore, but it's still pretty useful. You can actually see how quick it spawns those endermen. And we've got this ice path here that was set up in episode 46 because I had raided so many end cities that it was really hard to find one. We had to go out about 20,000 blocks every time we wanted to start an end raid. So I set up this actually goes 20,000 blocks. You just hop on a boat at this end, and you can ride it out 20,000 blocks. It only takes a few minutes, and you can actually AFK that point And then once you're out there, it's much easier. Although we've raided most of the end cities out there as well, because I raided a lot of end cities. And there's a little water elevator that'll take you up or down if you wanted to from the main island. Through this portal right here is my bee farm. We just kind of dip down. Usually works. There we go. And we can take through the portal, and that right over there is my bee farm. I covered it in water just because the Endermen were annoying, not because they caused any specific problems. They just were always just kind of standing around. So we got 2 modules of 8 or 10. 8. I haven't been here in a while. This was set up in episode 17, and it hasn't been upgraded since, and it desperately needs to be upgraded. So we got 8 bee nests per each of these modules. Let's see if we can get up there. So there's the bees being busy. This is for the actual honey bottles. And then over this side, we only have 1 module for the honeycombs. I don't really use those blocks very much, but it's useful to have a farm for them. Yeah, there's a whole bunch in this, but this is where the real business is. I need probably at least 8 modules of this, probably quite a bit more. When I set it up in episode 17, I ran out of bottles at the time, and I never came back to improve it, and now lack of an ability to get more honey blocks has kind of been hurting a little bit. We can still get a decent amount, but it's a very slow farm. So definitely need to upgrade that at some point in the future. I could head back out that portal and take the portal that's 2 portals over, but it's just as easy to fly this direction. It's about 1,000 blocks either way we go, and that is to the last farm in the end. And that is the Shulker farm. Like I said, I raided a lot of end cities, and I got somewhere around 3,500 Shulker shells the good old-fashioned way. And I reached the limit of what vanilla could provide. We were originally going to use Raiseworks Shulker Shell Shulker, but that got fixed, and so that was no longer an option. It's actually a pretty common problem for large servers, and Minecraft really needs to give large servers a way to get some renewable Shulker shells, because it's not really workable. So some servers use duping. We decided to use carpet mod to make shulkers respawn in cities. I thought that was a little more interesting than duping. Allowed us to set up another farm. It's a very cool farm. It doesn't actually work unless we're standing on this pressure plate up here, because it would break the minecarts otherwise if you left the area while it was running. So you have to actually stand on the pressure plate in order for it to be working. But yeah, this is a way. Yeah, like I said, we reached the limits of what vanilla could do for us. I spent countless hours raiding end cities, and I just wanted a way to enhance the game a little bit more. So we do use carpet mod for that one thing. That, and we actually have shulker shells. Shulker boxes are stackable. There's a whole bunch of shulker boxes full of shulker shells. This is another one of those farms where I need to bring these things back. So I don't need to take this with me. So let's make a little extra room, and I'm actually going to take these back with me as well. So yeah, that is the Shulker farm. This is probably my 3rd favorite spot on the server. I love this thing. The Shulker farm was from episode 56, by the way, and I will be doing a tutorial for it in the near future. But it's time for the grand finale. Now, I have already placed the end crystals down there. So I just got to fly up here. Oops. Fall off it a little bit. There's no real good way to land into this thing. There we go. And let's make sure we do this right. So let's fire an arrow into here. Should set all that up. There we go. And I just need to place an end crystal in here. That'll summon an Ender Dragon. And the rail cannon should kill it in one shot. I love this thing so much. So let's go on down and take a look at that. Oh, this is a very different view from what I've done in the past. Let's see if we can get a little bit closer without blowing ourselves up like I did last time. And we should see the lights coming. There it goes. Oh, I love this thing so much. That's a very awesome system. So like I said, I built the rail cannon in episode 38, and I did a super cut of me killing the Ender Dragon a whole bunch of times. That was in the beginning of episode 39. And in episode 59 and 60, we had a whole lot more fun with the rail cannon. So if you're interested in rail cannon, I suggest you check those episodes out. They are a whole lot of fun. But that ends my world tour. I hope you enjoyed it. This was a 500 subscriber special, so I want to thank very much everybody who helped me get there. Hopefully we got a whole lot longer to go. And I recently added a Patreon, so if you're interested in supporting me, check the link down in the description. But I want to thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and happy you have a good day. Bye now. Uh-oh.